Good evening. This evening I want to share with you some of my thoughts on language and literary heroes. To paraphrase the words of St. John the Apostle, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. When I say the Word, I'm speaking about human language, that miraculous manner in which we are able to communicate with other human beings, both past, present, and into the future. For language to ever come into existence, three things were necessary, and they were all provided by the process of evolution and by God. That's why I said earlier the Word was from God. The first of these was the enlarged human brain. There are other animals with larger brains than we have, such as the elephant and the whale, but ours is proportionally larger when the total body weight is taken into account. But the brain of the mouse in some birds is proportionally larger than that of ours. So what else must we consider? The answer to that is the folding of the cerebral cortex, the outer layer of the brain. This is the area which is responsible for memory, attention, perceptual awareness, thought, language, and consciousness. The mouse has a smooth surface brain, no folding the cortex. So that is why some of us are smarter than mice, and also why we are able to conjure up infinitely complex images and symbols, why we are able to think using words. It is why when we hear words spoken by others, we are able to process and decipher them almost instantly. We come now to the second requisite for language, in which we can communicate with other human beings. This is vocal sound. Most warm-blooded animals are able to utter sounds. Some animals are even able to mimic the sounds of other species. We have only to look as far as the parrot and the Indian myna bird that are able to utter intelligible words and sentences, but they know not what they are saying. In Africa, there are even species of robins which can faithfully imitate the ringing of a cell phone, but they have not yet learned to send SMS text messages. Even the giraffe, with his inordinately long neck and rudimentary vocal cords, is capable of snorting and uttering a feeble fruiting. However, he must communicate with his fellows by body language rather than sound. Our closest relatives in nature, the apes, can only emit blurred and formless grunts, bellows, and squeals. So what is it that we have that they do not, that enables us to enunciate infinitely subtle and precise sounds and sequences and tones that have given birth to those myriad words forming in the folded cortex of our enlarged brain? The answer to that is the phenomenon of the descent of the human larynx. The animal larynx works like a valve, opening and closing to let air pass up and down the trachea, to and from the lungs. When it is shut, food cannot pass into the esophagus to choke the lungs. The most effective position for such a seal is right at the back of the throat, at the top of the trachea, so that no food or drink can accidentally enter. However, humans have a second use for the valve. We work it like the stops of a wind instrument. This musical function is most effective if we sight it lower down in the trachea. That way the air we breathe is deflected by the larynx to enable it to resonate before entering the mouth and passing over the tongue. At birth, the human larynx is placed at the top of the trachea in its logical position, ensuring that infants are able to nurse without risk of choking. The larynx begins to move lower at about 3 months of age and reaches its final position by age 4. Parents will notice the start of this descent is when their little darling starts to coo. The end of this is when the baby sounds become intelligible as words to strangers. The lowered larynx lets humans generate an almost limitless range of sounds, particularly vowel sounds, So by this rearrangement of the throat, humans are able to give tone and inflection to the sounds they utter. They are able to whisper, shout, sing, laugh, and speak in a vast variety of words and accents, and in almost 6,000 languages. We are able to give voice to the splendid plethora of thoughts and ideas generated by our enlarged brain. However, these sounds, these words, are ephemeral, no sooner uttered than perishing on the ear. In the great majority, they are trite, worthless, or false, so that they deserve to suffer this fate. However, there are other words, true, wise, valuable, important, or pleasing, that deserve eternal life. Fortuitously, in remote antiquity, our forebears dreamed up symbols to represent the sounds made by their descended larynx, which, when arranged in various sequences, formed the words which they wished to preserve for posterity. Here again, God in evolution has equipped us with the tools needed to achieve the magical perpetuation of these words. These are the opposed thumb and forefinger on both our hands. With them, humans are able to manipulate tools with extreme dexterity. These tools, devised by our enlarged brains, include chisels, brushes, pens, and eventually the keyboard of typewriters and computers. Our ancestors, both remote and recent, have chiseled their symbols on granite slabs or scratched them on clay tablets, painted them on the walls of caverns and cathedrals, written them on parchment and paper, in this way passing down to us an exact record of their innermost thoughts, their utterances, their beliefs and their deeds, their dreams and aspirations, their travels and their discoveries, the laws and proclamations that ordered their societies, and the histories of their tribes and nations, their strivings and adventures, and fortunately, most fortunately for us, their poetry and the stories they told one another. This is a treasure of immense value, for to know the history of our ancestors and our forebears is to know and understand ourselves and the world we live in more intimately. Words are not only able to record events or ideas, they are potent means of stirring the emotions. With a single word, I am able to set a process and train in the minds of my listeners or my readers. If I say the word love, your feelings soften with pleasure. You think of your parents, your spouse, and your children. You think of laughter and your home. You think of friends and shared happiness. But if I say the word hate, your feelings harden. You think of fear and enemies. You think of cruelty and injustice and war. Your thoughts are darkened by anger and resentment.